It could have been another name for the JV.
Yeah, it could be.
I
I
only
think
remember
sometimes the
that
names are interchangeable.
we had like JV B1 and B2. We had so many people, so many kids
Hmm.
at Westchester. There was a B1 and B2, and that was at 8 to 9 year age, something like that. 8, 9, 10. I can't remember now.
Gotcha.
And then when I was doing the bandit football, uh, that was the bandit was the level that was put in just under it. So I'll let you go ahead and start us off.
Oh, quick question for you. Did
Yeah,
are we on Facebook Live or Facebook?
we are.
Okay,
Yeah,
because I was looking for
we
it on
should
the
be.
Carolina Varsity. I didn't see anything on it.
I should have put something there, and you can
Oh,
restream too.
yeah.
Um,
I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and start us off though. Hi everybody, this is Jim West, and we're also on the Jim and Dale Show. Yeah, come join us every Wednesday at 7, 8 o'clock evening. Dale, the big difference from this week to last week to me is the timing, the time change. I don't know about you, but it was nice to get that extra hour of sleep on Sunday.
can always go for an extra hour. Believe me,
Yeah,
we could have that every day. It would be all right.
yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you on that. Now, so Dale, let's talk a little bit about this new high school that's going to come down near your area in what year, in 2022 or 2023, whenever over in the,
It
I
opens the
guess kind
2023 school year, so that'll be next school year.
of. So what are we going to call it? South by Southwest Mecklenburg, or we're going to call it Southwest Mecklenburg, or we're going to call it Dale Ross High School, or
the,
Still Creek,
the,
Palisades?
the, the name that a lot of people pass around has been Palisades, but that would be kind of like calling Audrey Kell, Ballantyne High School. Quite oddly enough, they're going to be very similar demographic um, schools. My neighborhood will be zone to the new high school from what we saw, what was decided yesterday. So, and my grandchildren, of course, my grandchildren live over there and they go to Palisades Elementary. I would like to see it named Still Creek
Still Creek,
High
gotcha.
School. Yeah.
No,
But Still
that
Creek being an old, that's one of the original, um, when the Mecklenburg County area was settled back in the 18th century, maybe even starting in the late 17th century. Still Creek was one of the, I forget, there were 4 or 5 major areas split up. Providence was one. And so Still Creek is basically, if you are familiar with Mecklenburg County, it stretches up to about the airport, right around the airport, and then all the way down south um, to the South Carolina border. And it's about a straight line straight down. So everything there and west is considered Still Creek. And of course, Olympic is in the middle of Still Creek as well. The interesting thing about one of the interesting things that I saw about the setup is that it is going to impact South Mecklenburg, Harding, and Myers Park districts. It
mm,
looks like. So it looks like some Harding, which I don't know. That's the way CMS does districts. They'll do like a little sliver down into an area to
right.
include students at another school. And
Little
even in this,
gerrymandering.
but pretty much that's what it kind of you could kind of say. Uh,
Yeah.
so Harding's going to lose one of those to South Mecklenburg. I haven't looked to see what all is going to be lost in the Myers Park, but Myers Park's such a large school, and this new school is going to take a chunk from Olympic and a chunk from South Mecklenburg of students. So it's going to take two big chunks. ADM wise, I don't know. In several years now, I really hadn't followed ADMs because they hadn't been quite as important. But 2 years ago, Olympic was the largest high school in the state, or next to the
Yes.
largest. Too big, way too big, up there at that 3,000 mark.
No,
So
wasn't a few, like maybe 20 years ago, Olympic was like borderline 3A, if not 3A.
yeah, so when Waddell High School was opened in
Oh, that's right.
2002, that's basically Waddell was the opening of Waddell was primarily the splitting of Olympic, and some South Mecklenburg area was brought in, and maybe a little bit of Harding, but it was primarily Olympic. So Olympic's ADM was cut nearly in half, and it took. By the time realignment was voted on, the growth was showing that Olympic would be for a size by the realignment, but their numbers at realignment were not. And actually, the school fought for a little bit to try to get accepted as 4A, which was interesting that Olympic was turned down for that, and Philip O'Berry at the same time was playing in a 2A conference.
Right, they were playing the Rocky River Conference for 2 years.
They were playing in the Rocky River Conference. So, yeah, it Olympic took a big hit, but Jim, this area is growing so fast that by the time realignment came around, the numbers were back up to 4A numbers, and they have just continued to grow ever since. And so it's a sorely needed school. It's in a little bit of a way, it's a black eye on CMS for shutting down Waddell. That could have helped eliminate some of the overcrowding in this area. But there was a language arts academy that wanted that school. They needed more space, so they actually moved into the Waddell High School. So it's going to be an interesting setup. I would think from a sports perspective, they have a lot of potential to be a very good have a very good program if they bring in good coaches, because there will be a number of feeder areas that will feed good athletes.
Now, quick question for you. I know that the South area and the southwest area of Mecklenburg County is exploding. Tell me a little bit about like West Mecklenburg and West Charlotte. Obviously, they're both 3A this year. Is there any way to shore all, or is it going to be more of the same in the future? Or?
No, I think the radiums will pick up, especially West Mecklenburg's, as that area up in north of West Mecklenburg, north and northwest, is growing as well, but not at quite the pace that it is down here. I don't know why. If you go northeast, up towards the, say if you're heading up towards Mooresville, up in the Huff and that area it's growing, and West Charlotte is kind of strapped in the middle of almost being like an inner city school, and the areas real close to it aren't growing. Like, see, out of here we have lots of farmland that's being sold up, so it's good. It's a good part of the county to live in, and there's lots of land to build. Whereas in and around West Charlotte, it's a lot different in that there's not all this farmland sitting there waiting for them to build homes. They're going to have to pull. They're going to have to pull from, say, Chambers, Myers Park. See, Myers Park's too big. I don't care what you say. Myers Park, I don't care what people say. Myers Park is too big, and Myers Park has been able to hold off on having a zoning, having their ADM impacted heavily, but some of that should go to West Charlotte. So I think I think West Charlotte has more opportunity just through reassignment, and it might be interesting to see how much reassignment may end up going to West Charlotte because of the opening of this school down here. West Mecklenburg is just going to take growth. And that growth is a little bit slower up in that area, but I do expect that they'll be back for a probably next alignment.
So do you think there's going to be more more high schools built in Charlotte Mecklenburg in the next 10 years?
Without question.
And
Yeah.
also, do you think you're going to have more kids leaving the public school system, more families leaving the public school systems?
So the question there becomes one of, will we get more charter schools?
Right.
We really need some charter schools inside of Mecklenburg County, or inside of Charlotte, the Charlotte city limits, I should say, which is most of Mecklenburg County. But we do need to have some charter schools. If some charter schools start showing up, and I remember back, was it 20 years ago when the North Mecklenburg community was talking about taking over North Mecklenburg, pulling it out of CMS and making it its own separate high school. There was a lot of serious talk about that back then. So that kind of tells me, and I'm sure that community is not much different, that if a charter school were to go in up right there at the North Mecklenburg area, I think you'd probably see a number of families send kids there. There's going to need to be another high school in that North Mecklenburg Huff area. I'm not sure where Hopewell's ADM is right now, but again, another area that I would expect will grow. And then I can see a need for another high school over in that Independence Rocky River area, maybe a little north of there.
Right.
So without question, if you were to go around and look at the schools, most of CMS schools were designed for 8 students, and many of them are way over that, capacity. So
when you have schools at 3,000, that's ridiculous.
Exactly. I mean, you could take Myers Park and split it in two and have two 1,500 student high schools right there. So,
right.
Which I think getting up around 3,000 is too large for a high school. I really like that 2,000, 1,800 to 2,000 mark. I think it should be more of a community, but now I'm talking about the high school.
Right.
So that you don't get so large that students don't have an opportunity to know most of the students within their class, or at least know who they are. So I think it would be to education's benefit that there be more high schools built, but more importantly, maybe it's to education's benefit that more charter schools are built, because that pushes some pressure on CMS to improve what they're doing. Charter schools are public schools. They're not private schools like some people think. And we had Austin on a few weeks ago, Coach Trotter, and he talked about that. But yeah, this is Jim. CMS is too big of an entity. It's one of the largest school systems in the nation, and that's just wrong. I mean, I know we're big. Charlotte is actually a very big city, but there's too much. It's too big.
Well, you go to Davidson County, which is probably a fifth of the size population-wise of Mecklenburg County. Davidson County is a nice size county, but again, it dwarfs in comparison to Mecklenburg. Now, there are 3 school systems in Davidson County, you have Thomasville, you have Lexington, and then you have the
Mhm.
Davidson schools. You go down to different places in the state, you're going to have, a lot of the cities that border on counties, like Kannapolis, or, part Rowan,
Annapolis, a
part
good one.
Cabarrus, Elkin, they share Wilkes and Surrey,
Mooresville.
a little bit of Bristol, yeah,
Mooresville's one. So
yeah,
yeah, it's. I think you can have. I think CMS is just too big to be able to have the
yeah.
proper control over, and not control as much as administration
Well,
of
there's
the
quality control
school.
that you have to look at. It's a difference between control and quality control. I don't know how
Right.
their quality control uh, solution works, because obviously you got so many different schools. I mean, we're just talking about high schools. You also have twice as many middle schools, and I don't know how many elementary schools you have in that county. Just hundreds,
I don't
probably
know.
100 or so.
Yeah, my guess would be you got 2 to 3 middle schools per high school, and you probably have 2 to maybe 3 in some instances, elementary schools per middle school.
Right,
Um, there's a lot of elementary schools around, and
right.
that approach really, if you want to look at it, that approach, if it's good to have smaller middle schools, why is it better to have larger high schools? You're doing these things for reasons, and it's a numbers game of number of students you're having to deal with. But when you look at the total, like you say, if you look at those total number of bodies, and I'm talking about or physical locations that have to be controlled, and
Maintains,
then
yeah.
you've got a principal at each one of them, and there's just too much for one entity, I think, to properly manage everything. Uh, That's what you do in management, or what you do in management is, once you get so many people, then you create a senior management position, so the managers can have managers, and you're kind of offloading things, or you create more departments. So anyway, it's an interesting situation. We should do a show on this one
Yeah, and
night.
that's where you get silos. You've heard the term silos, or in
Yep.
where you find a contact in one department, and you go to they're like, well, I can't do it because that's not really my expertise. You need to go see somebody else. And that's where you get these mini silos inside of silos. And anyway, it's
Yep.
bureaucracy is can be a challenge. So Dale, where'd you go last week?
So I went to see Stuart Kramer in West Charlotte.
Oh,
I hadn't seen West Charlotte since the first game of the season. I got a little video clip. Let's see if it'll play.
all right.
I don't know. This was one of my oh, get out of my way message. Let's see if this will.
Oh well.
I don't know if you caught the whole thing or not. That was um, a bird's eye view at a nice touchdown. West Charlotte was like down near the goal line, and through penalty and sack, they were moved back. It was almost 20-yard play, I think. But that was an interesting game, Jim. This is going to be a team to watch out for in 3A. Stuart Kramer, I expected West Charlotte to beat them, but West Charlotte looked very good. All things considered, they looked very good, and they've played themselves into a game hosting Kings Mountain, which is kind of wish I could go to that game, but my plans are to go to the Huff South Mecklenburg game. But I think I saw an improved team that's going to potentially make a deep run here in the 3A playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised to see them playing 3-4 weeks from now.
Let's see. I think West Charlotte will end up playing Dudley High School if everything works out, like in week 3 or week 4. And as you know, Dale, there's only 5 of the original NCHSAC schools, the historically black high schools back during the time of segregation that still exist. And West Charlotte and Dudley are 2 of them, 2 of the 5. The other 3
Hmm.
being Carver over in Winston-Salem, Smith and Fayetteville, and Hillside over in Durham. So that would be a game that I would probably go to. I probably would if
Mm.
West Charlotte Dudley meet up. I'll drive up to Greensboro to see that game.
Unfortunately, Carver didn't make the playoffs because of an incident that occurred with Mountain Island Charter. I just mentioned that because you brought up Carver.
Right.
Where did you what did you see last week?
Well, I probably saw the last home game for South Granville in its history. That week, I think it was that Tuesday during that week, it was announced that South Granville and Granville Central would consolidate and move to the Granville Central location. Granville Central High School is about 15 years old. South
Hmm.
Granville was started, I think it was 1963. It was just about the same time North Stanley started. North Stanley started in 62 and South Granville in 63. So the buildings got 60 years on them. Most of them are in pretty good shape. However, there's other reasons why when you have a middle school or an elementary school that's got a lot of mold and a lot of the school is not usable, you look around and say, well, what's the best way to move these kids around? So they moved, South Granville and Granville Central can consolidate, which is going to be an interesting thing. It's probably going to make them a large 3A school, if not 4A, but they're going to move some of the Granville Central kids over to Webb over in Oxford. So you're going to have
Uh-huh.
2 pretty decent sized 3A schools when it's all said and done. But
Uh,
about the game though, South Granville had probably one of the best offensive lines and defensive lines I've seen this whole year, and they're 2A school. Those kids were big and they moved bodies off that line. I mean, they could clear bodies. The other high school that had a really good offensive, well, 2 of them, Julius Chambers has got a really good offensive line, and so does Jordan over in Durham. Uh,
mhm.
but South Granville, though, it was like men versus the boys there. I never forget looking at the defensive linemen, and I imagine some of these defensive linemen were about 80 pounds lighter than the offensive line. I mean, I don't care how good your technique is. When you have a big body that you have to get around to get to a quarterback or to a running back, you have that big old sucker in front of you. You can't move them. And if there's a play down there, you're going to be moved. If there's a run play, you're going to be moved around. So it was a fun game. Always fun to see Coach Hobgood. He was a offensive lineman for the UNC back in the mid '90s. He attended Northern Durham, class of '93, and at Northern Durham. And if you know, Northern Durham won the state championship that fall of '93 after he graduated. So some pretty good football pedigree there. But
All right.
fun. Weather was perfect too. It wasn't too cold. At the same time, it wasn't burning up either. So it was nice to do it. Now,
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
where are you going to go next week?
So my plan right now is to go to the Huff South Mecklenburg game. So South Mecklenburg is traveling to Huff, and I'm really interested to see. For me, the South Met Conference turned out to be the most competitive conference, and the top 4 teams. So just as an example, um, all teams, the score amongst each other was less than a touchdown result. Olympic, who finished 4th and did not make the playoffs, lost to Audra, Kell, Myers Park, and South Mecklenburg by a combined 7 points. So that tells you how close that conference was. And
Right.
of course, they did not make the playoffs. So I'm highly interested in seeing how when I look at the Max Preps power rankings. Was just looking at them a little bit ago, and gosh, I don't have a lot of. I know Cleveland's got a good team, but I don't think they're one of the top 10 teams in the state. I find that hard to believe that they could beat. I think they were somewhere around 6th to 8th. But anyway, I'm interested to see. By all accounts, Huff, Chambers, Mallard Creek, West Charlotte, people feel that conference is the toughest conference in the state. So I'm real interested to see how South Mecklenburg can fare against Huff, and quite honestly, I believe they have a good shot. So that's where I'm planning on going.
I got you.
What about you?
I'm gonna go to Hillside over in Durham and watch them host Millbrook. That should be a fun game. I haven't seen Hillside play this whole season. Only Durham school I haven't seen this whole season. I've seen Chapel Hill Orange play, and haven't seen Carberry play this year. But I need to go and see Hillside. I'm gonna go see them play this week. I'm hoping the weather is going to be nice enough. I think the rain's supposed to come tomorrow evening here, and it's supposed to dissipate around noon on Friday. Hopefully we'll have decent weather and won't have too big of a mess. The one thing I will say, though, some football fields are better equipped for handling high amounts of rain than others. A couple weeks ago, I went to Chapel Hill, and they probably got maybe 3 inches of rain within a 48-hour period. And that field is one of the worst drained fields I've ever seen. I mean, it was just, I think my yard outside my home has better drainage than that football place does. I mean, that the field was just horrible. You go on to the visitor side, it was just like walking in mud, and it was like there's just not enough rain for that to happen. It kind of reminds me of a place over in Cabarrus County. A school you might have heard of is called Concord High School.
I've been there, and I've been there on rainy, at least in the past, in the old days. What a horrible place when it rained. Horrible. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
When the mud is saturated, completely saturated, I mean, there's no grass whatsoever. I think what they have to do is they have to use green paint to paint the field. I mean, that is and if you see around it, you can see you're looking around. It's like where does all the water go here? And it only goes one place, and it's to the football field. It's like a magnet.
Yeah, and then down towards that, down there at the end zone, as I remember, it was just that sideline at the end zone was just horribly bad. Yeah, that's one of the, quite honestly, that's one of the worst places I've been to. Alexander Central was pretty bad when we went there for a playoff game, but that was after a hurricane, came through.
Well, hurricanes, I'll give everybody a little bit of a pass there.
Exactly. So, I mean, that was that weekend that we were seeing pictures from, some of the stadiums up in the mountains were just, underwater. The fields were underwater, everything. So if you got a good field, you're going to see a great quarterback. That Millbrook quarterback is something else. Have you seen Millbrook this year?
I have not seen them. I've seen clips of them, and they have a really good quarterback. They also have a very much an underrated offensive lineman. And a good offensive line, everybody shines a little bit better.
Well, that kid is a sophomore, and he's, I don't know, last time I looked at his stats, he was in the 2,700 yard mark, and that was several weeks ago. So that could be an interesting game, though. Overall, I think you got a good game, and hopefully, I have a good game. And there's a number of good games this week. Mallard Creek's got to go up to Asheville. That's going to be an experience for the Mallard Creek kids to go up into that environment. Crest plays West Rowan. this week. That'll be an interesting game. So,
Well, talking about
I think it's
games,
good. Yep. So
talking
let's
about
get to the
games,
playoffs.
we're going to have our own here. It's going to be called sane or insane. If you think I'm right about my pick, you tell me I'm sane. If you think I'm
Uh-huh.
not um, correct, you call me insane. So
Okay.
let me put you on the big screen here. Okay, well here we go. Um, very name Tarboro, Southeast Halifax, Tarboro by whatever they want to, sane or insane.
Same.
For Quitmans versus Riverside Martin, I think that's going to be a hell of a game. I'm going to give Riverside Martin just a little bit of an edge on there, but that game could go either way. Am I sane or insane?
If you say it can go either way, I'm going to give you same.
Okay. Rosewood hosting North Edgecombe. Rosewood by probably 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. So far, you're sane. I don't think you're insane with that call.
Okay. Next one, Northampton hosting Warren County. Northampton by probably 4 touchdowns. So
Maybe more.
maybe more. Maybe more. Maybe more.
Maybe
Going on.
more. So that's a sane. I'd say that's a sane comment.
Next one, Northmore versus Gates County. I got to go with Northmore. Northmore's just had a great season this year. I think they're going to keep on going.
Yep. But you're going to well. I agree with that. You're gonna call out a close or blowout.
I will say it's probably a 2 to 3 touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that close. Or you got 2?
Yeah, I held up 2 fingers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Next one, Pender, West Columbus. I think Pender will win by a pretty comfortable margin.
Yeah, could reach blowout for me is 21 points.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a blowout then.
So you're saying, I think you're saying.
Next one, Southside versus Kip Pride. Southside will win by a couple touchdowns.
Same.
Well, here's another one here, Northside Pinetown. If you noticed, Washington County, ever since Plymouth and Creswell has consolidated, haven't been that good in football. A lot of those kids are now playing at Northside. So Northside is the new powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Hop a lot of points, but Northside's defense is a lot better than Hopton's defense. Northside's going by about 4 or 5 touchdowns.
I'll agree with that.
All right, well, let's go to the next side here.
That's a sane statement.
Eastern Randolph versus Drawn. Eastern Randolph, probably a running clock.
Oh, man. So, Drawn blew out the Elkin last week, right?
Yeah.
In Eastern Randolph, that whole a lot of teams had first round buys last week in the 1A, right?
Right.
So, you think it's going to be a running clock?
Yeah, I think a running clock.
Okay. I don't think there's in doubt that Eastern Randolph's going to win the game and probably win it comfortably. I'm going to say you're insane on the running clock. We'll see.
We'll see. That's good. Here is a great game, probably the best 1A game. If I had to go to any 1A game in the state, it'd be Mountain Heritage versus Murphy. Yep. This game is going to be in Burnsville. And sorry, guys, at Mountain Heritage, I cannot go against Murphy in the playoffs. So I'm going to say Murphy's going to find some way to win that game. Am I sane or insane?
So when I looked at this weekend, and I thought, well, Mountain Heritage will win this game is who I was picking, but I didn't think that it would be a big margin. So I don't think your statement is insane because you agree it's going to be a close game,
Right.
maybe a one-score game, and maybe a last team with the ball kind of deal.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
that kind of a game, and so it's hard to. I'm gonna go against you on the pick, but I'm not gonna say you're insane.
gotcha. Now here's the 1A game that I'd go to, the second choice in the 1As. This next one, the Thomas Jefferson versus North Rowan.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be a great game. North Rowan has got a great defense. Thomas Jefferson is known to be able to move the ball, run it. I'm gonna go with North Rowan. I think North Rowan is. I think they're tougher than Thomas Jefferson. I don't know if they're as talented, but I think they're tougher. I'm gonna go with the tough team there. It's gonna be a close game though. North Rowan though.
I'm gonna side with you on that. Both ways. I think it'll be a fairly close game, but I don't know. Something makes me think that North Rowan's better. But Thomas Jefferson's they've had a good year. So
Yes, they have. They sure have. Now the next game here, Cherokee versus Robbinsville. This is a rematch during the regular season. Both of these teams are in the Smoky Mountain Conference. This is going to be a close game. Both of these teams have been hurting throughout the year. Same thing with Murphy. None of these teams have been quite as healthy. I'll go with Robbinsville though. I think they'll win. Maybe
yeah,
within like 10 points or so.
I would gonna say 1 to 2 scores, and I'm just can't pick against Robbinsville. Not right now.
Next game, Mitchell versus Swain County. This will be a fun game to watch here. Mitchell, earlier on the season, they actually lost to Andrews. Mitchell was down that game. They were down 3 or 4 starters. Andrews was just hit all strides. Swain County, they're still good, but they're not quite as good as they have been like 10 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. They've been kind of slipping a little bit ever since Cherokee's come back on the map. I'm gonna say Mitchell's gonna win, but this is a close game.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on that as well, though I think it could be a 10 to 14 point game. But
Okay.
mm-hmm.
Thomasville versus South Stokes. I've got to go with Thomasville. I say
Yeah,
it's going to be blowouts.
yeah, I'm with you on Thomasville for sure. And I consider blowout 21 points or more. I can see that happening. So you're saying,
Here, the next one is Starmount hosting Andrews. Andrews is a team that I would not sleep on. They are definitely a sleeper team, and they could beat Starmounts. I've been going kind of back and forth on this one. I don't think this is going to be a really fun game. I don't think either one of these teams are going to go very far in the playoffs. I think whoever wins will get blown out the next week. But I'm gonna stick with Starmount just because of home field advantage. But that's the only reason.
you're saying,
Now, next one here, East Wilkes. They're going to be at
mm-hmm.
Mount Airy. This should be a lot of offense, but I think most of the offense is going to be with the Granite Bears. I'm going with Mount Airy by probably around blowout, probably 3 touchdowns or
Yeah,
so.
I think 3. Yeah, you're saying.
All right. So that was fun. We did that in less than 10 minutes. Let's go. You want to do
Yeah,
2A now?
that's awesome. So let me switch that up, and let's see. I got to stop the share, and then I'll share again. Takes just a second to get this going. Microsoft Edge tab. Thankfully, Max Preps isn't playing their ads.
Oh, you can go to the NCHSAA websites, and or you can do that. That's fine. So the first game, Princeton versus Kinston. This is going to be a heck of a good game. That's going to be a really good game. Both of these teams are athletic, well coached. I'm going to go with Princeton though, but it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be within a touchdown.
Hmm. It's hard to call you insane on that. I think Princeton's going to win, but I could see them winning by 2 scores. But
Okay.
so I can't. It's hard to call you insane on that.
Gotcha.
Borderline. Jack Nicholson.
Borderline.
Insane.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's or John Till crazy.
John Till. There you go.
So the next one, Nash Central. They're going to be hosting South Granville. I'm going with South Granville here.
South
Nash Central
Granville.
struggled a lot against Southwest Onslow this last week. They were down 28-14 fourth quarter, and then they scored 15 points to win, but not a very pretty game for Nash Central. Southwest Onslow has struggled a lot this season. I'm going with Nash Central, or I'm going with South Granville. I'm going to say it by 1 or 2 scores here.
Hmm. Two scores.
1 or 2.
I think you're saying.
Here's a fun game here. St. Paul's, they're going to host Roanoke Rapids. Should be some really a lot of good strength. I think both of these teams are tough. Roanoke Rapids might be a little more athletic. St. Paul's, though, I think they're bigger. I think they'll win against Roanoke Rapids. I almost say probably by about 2 scores.
I'll call you saying. Could put up a lot of points in this game too. Yeah, I'm not talking basketball score points, but
well, earlier on this season, Hobson and Midwood final score was 80-73. That's basketball score right there.
That's basketball score, yep.
And that's where your defensive coordinators, they probably played Otis the drunk from Mayberry for about 3 days after that. So here's another one: James Keenan versus Whiteville. James Keenan's playing some really good football right now. I just don't know if they're going to have enough to beat Whiteville. I'm going to go with Whiteville. I'm going to say 1 or 2 scores, though.
I definitely Whiteville. Whiteville. Yeah. And 1 to 2 scores?
Yeah, I'm going to say 1 or 2.
You're saying.
Now, this is a battle. If I was in Northeastern North Carolina, I'd go to Northeastern versus Holmes. You got 2 of the best coached teams around. Northeastern, Coach Moore, and Holmes is Hoggard. Coach Hoggard's the head coach at Holmes. And this game could get exciting. I just think Northeastern's has got too many horses in the stable. I'm going to say this game is probably tied at halftime, and Northeastern will end up winning by about 2 scores.
2 scores. Okay, you're saying.
Here's a fun one here for you. Cummings versus Washington. With Washington has a really good defense, and I think they actually match well against Cummings. Cummings has got a really good running back. I think Washington will be able to have a little bit more luck than a lot of teams would against Cummings. I won't say they're going to go to Cummings and win by about a touchdown.
Ooh, I was picking Cummings in that one.
Wow.
But in a close game. So if you're talking 1 score, and I'm thinking 1 score, but the other way, that's not really insane.
Yeah. That's that Jack Nicholson territory.
That's that Jack Nicholson or John Till territory, yeah.
All right, next one, West Craven. They host Wallace Rose Hill. West Craven, for the longest time, they were 3A. They've been 2A for, I think, 5 years now. Wallace Rose Hill, they've been 2A for 5 years before 1A. This is going to be a fun game to watch. This is 2 athletic teams, both well coached. I've been kind of going back and forth. So I'm going to take Wallace Rose Hill just on just history. But I'm going to say it's just going to be a few points.
Yeah, both teams can score. Again, probably not insane, but I think I was going to go with Wes Craven. So
Wow. Now this one here, you're gonna think I'm a little bit insane. It might be, but I'm gonna take Clinton over East Duplin. I think East Duplin might be ripe for an upset. East Duplin has struggled
mm,
at times this season. They got a number 2 seed, but I think Clinton might just have a little bit more athleticism than East Duplin, but it could be it's going to be a close one, I think. But I'm going to take Clinton. I'm going to say this is my kind of my
that's your
upset of the week.
insane pick.
Yeah, it's my insane pick.
That's your upset of the week. Okay. The dark horse on the eastern side of the bracket.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's go to the west here. Polk County. Gosh, would that be awesome if they beat Shelby in the second round? I mean, that would be just great for the county. It'd be a millionaire and didn't have to work. Be great if could get rid of all the hatred in the world. There would be a lot of things great. One thing I'm pretty sure of, the Shelby's going to win beat Polk County. I'm going to say it's at least 3 touchdowns and not
Yeah.
one.
Okay. I'm about to. Yeah, I'm sitting here shaking my head. He better not go there. Yeah, that you're saying there.
So next, Forest Hills, they're going to be at East Gaston. Forest Hills did a little bit of an upset. They upset, I think it was Providence Grove last week, and now East Gaston. I picked East Gaston to beat Community School of Davidson.
Mm-hmm.
I like East Gaston. I'm going to take East Gaston again. I think it's going to be an ugly game. It's not going to be a fun one, but East Gaston is one. It's not like your old dad's East Gaston. This is a better East Gaston team.
My dad's East Gaston. Actually, when I think about bad East Gaston teams, I think a little bit more modern era than that, because they have suffered quite a good bit over the last decade. But
Right.
the Yellow Jackets, man, you're picking against the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah,
Them Yellow Jackets can sting, man.
they
That's
can
a
under Fairclough and Lowry, but they have struggled a little bit the last few years.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. I don't think you're insane, but
Go either way.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why, but I just kind of feel like a Forest Hills there. But you're not insane.
Well, here's another game. This one
It's
could
gonna be
go
a good
either
game.
way.
Yeah.
Hendersonville and Burns. This is one of the best 2A this week. I'm gonna go with Hendersonville. I just think they're athletic, a little bit more
Oh,
athletic this year than usual. Burns, I don't know how they're going to respond playing in Hendersonville if it's wet or if it's cold or windy. It's hard to go up that hill. Although Hendersonville is really on the hill per se, it is a higher elevation. I won't say home field advantage works out for them this week.
it's not Asheville high, but it's up there.
Yeah.
Um, huh. For whatever reason, I like Burns here, but your call is not insane, so I'll call you sane.
Next one, Reesville Chase. And I think of a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest, and that award goes to Chase. Reesville will probably have a running score sometime in the third quarter.
Running.
And Chase is good. I just think that highly of Reesville.
Borderline insane.
Borderline insane.
Only, yeah, the running score part. I don't know, but yeah, okay.
So we're going to go on down here. Maiden versus West Lincoln.
They just played. Go ahead.
Maiden for some reason finds way to lose in the playoffs. West Lincoln has not always been a very strong team until recently. The last 3 or 4 years probably been their best football they've played in their history. I'm gonna pick Maiden, but at the same time, I would not be shocked if West Lincoln surprises the world and wins this game.
So you're saying in your call for multiple reasons, but I'm picking West Lincoln. I
I,
think they're going to
you
pull.
know,
I think they're going to
I'm
pull this one.
almost ready to pull the trigger on that one. I think it's a recipe for disaster for Maiden. I just honestly think so. And Maiden, guys, prove me wrong. West Lincoln, prove me wrong. Prove dead right. But I'm gonna, I'll pick Maiden, but I think it's gonna be a very good one. Now the next game's not gonna be that pretty. Salisbury is athletic. Bunker Hill's had a really good season, but they haven't beaten a team like Salisbury, and I don't think they're going to beat them this time. I'll say Salisbury by probably 3 touchdowns.
3, yeah, yeah. You're saying.
Here's another fun one here. Monroe and J.M. Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a fun game. I'm going with Monroe. I think Monroe is just a little bit more athletic. I think they can move the ball around a little bit better. J.M. Robinson might have a little bit better defense, but I don't think it's going to be enough to win the game. I'll take the Red Hawks.
So I like Monroe as well, and I think you're saying, but as I've thought about this game, um, JMR's they're having a great season, and I would not be shocked to see them pull a win here. But I think Monroe is not just athletic; they're fast. This is really kind of their game to lose. It won't be easy. It will not be an easy win.
No. Last game here, East Surrey 4 Bush. I think East Surrey win by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, you're saying there's no debating that one.
There you go.
Okay, let's stop this and let's get the next one. Boy, now we get into 3A.
Oh, it's gonna be some fun games. I'll tell you what, after the first round is not always the fun games to watch, but the second round gets a little bit better. Third round, everybody basically that's still playing the third round is pretty darn good.
So I'll make sure it's sharing properly.
There you go, it is.
Okay.
Once upon a time, there lived a princess with really long hair who was waiting for a prince.
All right, princess.
Always gotta love Max
Yeah.
Preps here.
I'm sorry, I was on Max, so I just pulled these up for Max Preps because I was looking at a few matchups prior, and then I just started. Okay, I'm just going to open these up from here. So, okay, go ahead.
Eastern Alamance, they're hosting Havelock, and I honestly thought about watching this game also. It was between this game and Hillside and Millbrook. I decided to go with the 4As. I've seen Havelock play earlier on this season, and they are good. They're great coaching team. Same thing with Eastern Alamance. The difference between the two teams, Eastern Alamance has a lot of seniors. Havelock only has about 5 or 6 seniors on their whole roster, but they are really athletic. I'm going to go with Eastern Alamance just because I think the experience is going to pull out. Coaching to me is between Kirby and Allen Wooden is pretty even. I'm going to go with Eastern Alamance. I think the home field advantage is going to play out, but at the same time, do not be shocked if Havelock wins that game.
I'm gonna call you Sang. I'm just gonna look and see if anybody's posted anything. Thoughts on AK versus East Forsyth? We'll be there, Scott, if you're still there. Okay, go ahead.
So next one, Westover versus North Brunswick. I am going with Westover in this game. I think it'd be a fun game for Westover. I think it's a good game, a good matchup for Westover. Westover did a number on Vance County last week. North don't think they've beaten a team as good as Westover.
All right. You're saying 2 scores.
Next game, County and Southern Nash. Wow, I mean, both teams play good offense, but also what a lot of people don't realize, both of these teams know how to play defense too. They're big, they're athletic, they're deep. This is going to be a heck of a game to watch. I'm going with Lee County. I think Lee County is a little bit more battle tested than Southern Nash. Lee County playing in that tough 3A 4A conference with Richmond County and Pinecrest. I think playing those tough games is going to have a dividend. And I love Southern Nash. That's one of my favorite teams. But I'm going with Lee County.
Okay, you're saying.
Last one, Wilson Hunt, James B. Hunt High School, hosting Jacksonville. Hunt's having a good season. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Jacksonville, they play in a tougher conference. They are much more battle tested than Hunt's. I think they're more athletic than Hunt's. I think if Jacksonville was in the same conference as Hunt, they'd have won it with ease. I'm going with Jacksonville.
Okay, just don't say running clock.
Oh no, I'm gonna say 2 touchdowns.
You're saying.
All right, let's see here. Next one, 71st. They're hosting Williams. This game could be ugly. I'm not going to say running clock, but I'm going to say 3 or 4 touchdowns.
I think you're saying.
Now here's going to be a fun game to watch. J.H. Rose. They actually were struggling against Croatan last week. Then they pulled out and won by 3 touchdowns. They are hosting Terry Sanford. Terry Sanford scored 64 points last week. Terry Sanford is a good team. Rose, neither one of them really all that exciting. I could see this game being really ugly. I could see one team dominating the other. Both teams have high ceilings and high floors, if that makes any sense. I'll go with Rose just because it's the home field advantage. But I'll say they'll probably win by 1 or 2 touchdowns.
I think you're saying. I think they're a little more than home. I think they're maybe a little better team too. But
right. West Carteret, they are hosting Scotland. I know West Carteret is a number 7 seed, but sorry, West Carteret does not play in the same conference as Havelock, New Bern, and the others. They play in basically an Onslow County conference with the like Swansboro and Richlands and stuff like that. I'm sorry, West Carteret. I know you're number 7 seed, but I'm gonna take Scotland by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, you're saying there.
Now, here is a fun game to watch. People have been laughing about Smithfield-Selma for years and years, for about a decade. I mean, they go 3 years without winning a game. They are legitimate. They've had a really good season. They beat the heck out of South Johnston. This was a rematch, conference or county conference matchup, and Smithfield-Selma had their way. Northern Nash will win this game, but I don't expect a blowout. I'm going to say 1 or 2 scores, Northern Nash.
You're saying.
All right, let's see here. Let's go down up to the top here. Pisgah, South Point.
Ooh.
That is a game that it's just kind of like the 1 versus 16 on the other side. That game could really go either way. I'm going to take South Point. I think South Point can win this game. I think it's going to be a close one. I just don't know if Pisgah is tough enough to beat South Point.
So this is not a 1 versus 16 game. This is to be a number 1 seed. This is a tough second round game. I can't. I'm not going to call you insane, but I'm picking Pisgah. I would like to see South Point win, and I think South Point's got an opportunity to win. I think this is a game they can win, but I'm picking Pisgah.
Now, the next game, Parkwood, Forest View. I don't know if you ask me who should have got a 9 seed and who should have got a 16 seed between Parkwood and South Point, I would say South Point's more of a 9 seed and South Point's more of a 9 seed and Parkwood more of a 16 seed. I
Mhm.
think Forest View is a lot better than a 25 seed. I'm
I
taking
agree.
Forest View in this game. I'm gonna say it's gonna be by about a touchdown or two, but I'll take Forest View.
Yeah, you're saying I'm picking Forest View in this one as well.
Next one, North Davidson versus Hickory. Um, Coach Glass, he is one of my favorite coaches. He's done well everywhere.
Hmm.
He was over at over in, I can't remember, was it Patton? He was over at he was at JM Robinson. He was, I think, the year before he was over at was it Lincolnton? Now he's at Hickory. This is a good team. This is a really good team. North Davidson, they never seem to get it right in the playoffs for whatever reason. Uh, and I'm almost tempted to pull Hickory, and I am going to pick Hickory. I'm going to pick Hickory over North
Oh,
Davidson.
well, it's interesting to see Hickory. Of course, this is a different format of everything this year, and I don't like it. But still, it's interesting to see Hickory here in the second round. They're playing better football, but I'm picking North Davidson. Can I call you insane for picking Hickory? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't even think it's John Till insane
There you go.
or John Till / Jack Nicholson. No, nobody else, even John doesn't
John,
realize it. I don't think.
yeah, that's our secret on that one.
That's our inside secret.
That's
Yeah.
our insane secret. So the next one here, Win versus Crest. I'm going with Crest. I think Crest will win probably by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
So Crest has lost 2 games to Burns and Shelby, and Crest's a very good team. West Rowan won in overtime last week. They pulled an upset, kind of, sort of, but I don't think they're going to be able to hang with Crest. I think you're sane, because I can see it being a 2-score game,
Gotcha.
maybe 3.
So next one, Dudley Ledford, going with Dudley. The boys will win by, I'm gonna say, 3 or 4 touchdowns.
So Dudley's hard to pick against in this bracket down here, and I think you're sane.
Now this next one, this game is gosh, this is gonna be a good game. West Charlotte versus Kings Mountain. Um, I don't know if Kings Mountain has enough toughness to beat West Charlotte. West Charlotte, those boys have grown the last 5-6 months since the 2020-21 season. They've gotten bigger. They've gotten better. I'm gonna go with West Charlotte because I really want to see Dudley West Charlotte play in the third round. But Kings Mountain could easily win this game. This is a what you call a coin flip. Flip the coin on this
So
one.
2 weeks ago, I felt like these two teams would be playing each other, but I thought Kings Mountain would be in better position than what I think they are. And I say this because of their game with Franklin. Now, I understand Franklin's got a lot of tradition and there's good football there, but I just didn't feel like Kings Mountain should have struggled like they did. They were losing that game. So it makes me question where Kings Mountain is. I don't know if it was, an out of mind experience or out of body experience for them last week. West Charlotte's a very good football team. And I think I pick West Charlotte. And I think if West Charlotte comes out I don't know, feeling like they have played in a tough conference, and they've played the Huffs and the Chambers and the Mallard Creeks, and this is going to be a cakewalk, especially after what they did to Stuart Kramer. Then they're going to lose the ball game, because Kings Mountain will come prepared, and I think it's going to be a good football game. You're not insane, because I think it's going to end up being close.
Have you ever been to Tarpley Stadium before at Dudley?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, if those two teams meet up, come join me. Not only you got some good football, you also have some good fish cooked on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Gosh, that stuff's good. All right, let's go on down here. High Brighton versus Concord. I'm taking High Brighton by 2 or 3 scores.
Okay. Yeah. Concord, what a good year you've had, especially considering your last decade. But High Brighton. So I'm with you on that, and you're not insane.
The thing that scares me though is High Brighton only beat Freedom 14-13 last week.
Yeah, but there's some other elements there,
right,
that kind of play into that rivalry kind of stuff. I get what you're saying, but and I don't think it's going to, I can't see a 3-score win here by High Brighton. I think it's going to be about 10 to 14 points, but it's another one of those games where you can slip. It doesn't take much, because while that might sound like a lot, 2 scores, it's not a huge difference, especially if you're not mentally right.
Right. Exactly right.
And Concord might be riding a bigger high than what we realize, because of their past, their recent past. Of course, a decade and a half ago, they were state champions, right? Somewhere about that time frame.
So last game here in the 3As, East Lincoln versus Statesville. I'm gonna go with Statesville. I think they've got more athletes.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, East Lincoln, I would not be shocked if they won the game. But I'm gonna go with Statesville. I'll say 10 to 14 point range.
Yeah, I'm with you on score and of course selection. I think it'd be hard for. It's another one of those that's kind of like just what we said. Statesville can be beaten, and their demeanor is going to have a lot to do. But if they come out and play for business, it's their ball game.
Right.
So, all right.
So we're going to get to the 4As next.
The big boys. Okay. And we'll get to see the games we're going to go see. All right.
I'll see your little video is going to come
Zaxby's
up.
boneless wings meal.
Oh,
Zaxby's,
that sounds good.
I stand corrected.
Did it?
The Great 8 boneless wings meal.
That sounds
with
good.
your choice of sauce. Just
where is the 4A at, Dale?
Ghostbusters Afterlife exclusively.
1A.
You're in 4A right now.
2A, 3A, 4A. No, but I got to get it over here, and I can stop that. Okay.
All right.
All righty.
Making me hungry. So,
Zaxby sandwich is good, man. The chicken sandwich.
Got good bread too. Good bread.
Yeah, Texas toast.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
I like it too.
First game, Richmond, Leesville Road. I've seen Leesville Road play earlier on the season. They got a good defense. Offensively, I'm not that impressed. I think Richmond will win 3 or 4 scores.
I agree. You are saying, because I really see Richmond making it a couple more rounds.
Nightdale, they're going to be going to Pine Forest, and after that game, they'll be riding back in a bus with an L hanging around their necks. I'll say it could be 3 or 4 scores also.
Same.
This next game, get out your coins because this is going to be a coin flip. Hillside and Millbrook. This game could go either way on that. I think Hillside's defense is probably a little bit underrated. And I think their offense is going to be enough that's going to cause Millbrook a little bit of issues. But Millbrook's quarterbacks is somebody that Hillside has not seen or been around. I'm going to pick Hillside, but I'm going to say it's going to be probably like a field goal or so. It's going to be that close. It's going to be a really close game.
Okay, you're saying, but I'm picking Millbrook.
Okay.
Yeah. I think quarterback's going to have a great game. All
Now,
right.
here, the next one, the Roseville-New Bern game. Wow, Roseville went to Southern Pines and beat Pinecrest pretty easily, 56-32.
Which
New Bern
surprised
struggled.
me. That surprised me, you know?
New Bern struggled. I'm going to pick New Bern to win this game, but at the same time, last week I picked Roseville to beat Pinecrest. I said that that they'd win, and Reuben, and I know Reuben picked Pinecrest. I'm going to take New Bern in this game, but this is another close. I would not be surprised if Roseville won this game.
So Ruben probably picked Pinecrest also for personal reasons. Sometimes we let our bias overwhelm us, but I think you're saying.
Now the next game, Cleveland has probably one of the best running back states. I think he's going to Carolina next year.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to run down Laney's throat. This could easily be a running clock game. I won't say it is. I'll say it's going to be like a 4 or 5 touchdown victory, but Cleveland wins over Laney.
Okay. I think you're saying.
Now, Cardinal Gibbons, they're hosting Heritage. This should be a pretty good game. I'm going to give Cardinal Gibbons 7 to 10 points advantage.
Yeah, that's a sane call.
Next one, Hoggard Southview. You know, this game, these teams are kind of polar opposites in a lot of ways. Southview is just brawny. Hoggard has the athletes. They can nickel and dime you down the field. Also, I'm gonna pick Southview. I think Southview is just a little bit better.
Well, you're saying because I believe you feel like it's probably going to be a 1-score game, something like that, maybe.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I honestly, this one I hadn't picked because I don't know how to pick it. So I don't have I really don't have a pick right now.
Gotcha.
To be honest with you, I think it's going to be to me, it's a toss up. But
this next game, Wake Forest and Panther Creek. Panther Creek, I picked Southern Alabama to beat Panther Creek last week, and I was mistaken. Panther Creek won that game. Wake Forest, they are rolling. I'm going to take Wake Forest. I think it's probably a maybe a 14 to 17 point victory for Wake Forest.
yeah, I think you're saying there.
All right, let's go to the
Panther
fun
Creek had a great season. Well, in our spring season, if you remember, they lost to Myers Park. Not going to make it quite as far this year, I don't think.
I agree. This next game, Huff versus South Meck. You know, I don't know how serious Huff is going to be. I don't know how focused they're going to be when they play South Meck. South Meck is a sleeper team. Huff should win this game, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I'm going to say Huff 7 to 10, 12 points victory.
So I think you're saying South Meck has got to have the biggest offensive line I've seen. Um, they've got a very good running back. One of my favorites this year in Jacob Newman. And honestly, I felt like when they played Myers Park, which they won, they didn't give Newman enough touches. And I think it's going to come down to how many times they let Newman touch the ball. Now, you can't give him the ball every play because then a team like Huff can zero in. I would expect Huff is going to be focused, but South Neck's a better team than some may believe. But on paper, Huff is they're a 1-2 score better team. Don't be shocked if South wins this game, though.
I agree. Okay, next game, Mallard Creek. They went on the road and beat Butler last week, 29-8. A pretty impressive score, if you ask me. They're playing Asheville. Asheville knows how to score points. I don't know if Asheville's defense is going to hold up against Mallard Creek, though. The one thing that's in Asheville's advantage is the home field advantage. It is hard going up the hill to beat a team like Asheville. I think Mallard Creek has enough athletes, enough depth that they can. I'm going to pick Mallard Creek in this game, in a very game. I'm going to say 3 to 7 points, Mallard Creek.
Okay. You're not insane. You're saying I'm picking Mallard Creek as well, but I'm picking Mallard Creek by 2 scores. And
right.
It's nothing against Asheville. It's just I think that there's a difference here in physicality and potentially athleticism as well. And Mallard Creek has the ability to combine those elements in many of their athletes. So I think it's going to have a lot to do with how Mallard Creek players and coaches adapt to that environment, because it is a different environment. That's a great experience for, I think, anybody to attend any of these mountain schools. They're all very similar in their environments, and especially the Asheville's and the Reynolds. You're going to get some great environment, crowd, and chain crew, and just everybody's into it. So I'm picking by a little bit larger margin.
Gotcha. Next game, Glenn versus Myers Park. Oh gosh, this is, it's going to be a fun game to watch here. Glenn knows how to play defense. Myers Park's defense is not as good as Glenn's defense, but at the same time, Myers Park offense is, to me, considerably better than Glenn. I'm going to take Myers Park, but don't be surprised if Glenn wins this game. I'm going to say Myers Park by 7 to 10 points.
I think Myers Park can win this game, and you talk about offense, they're going to have to produce, unlike they have not done in the last 4 weeks. They're going to have to produce points. Their defense has been playing, I'm not going to say lights out, but during that span, they've played some very, very good defense. I think this is Myers Park's game to lose, but I don't mean that as in they're going to walk away with a 2 to 3 score win. So you're sane in your call, I think.
Okay. Now, the next game here, Audra Kell versus East Forsyth. That's going to be a fun game to watch. East Forsyth, I mean, they've been to state championships. They've been to a couple of them, the state championships. Only lost one game this whole season. Audra Kell, obviously, they're having a really good season here. I'm gonna pick East Forsyth, and I'm gonna say it's because I think their defense is just gonna be a little bit more than what Audra Kell's used to. Uh, I don't think Audra Kell has a team in their conference that may be as tough as East Forsyth. But this, I kind of go back and forth on that. Audra Kell is a really well coached team, though. I'll take Audra Kell. I'm gonna say they're gonna win by just 2 or 3 points.
Well, I'm definitely picking Audra Kell. They, in all honesty, they outplayed Myers Park. They lost by less than a score, but they outplayed them. Coaching put together a great game plan to start the game against South Mac. Had a hard time holding South Mac off, but they did win it. That's a good team, and they got a great quarterback. I love him, and they are very well coached. And quite honestly, that might be that coach Bray should probably get Coach of the Year. Him or Evans or coach should be Coach of the Year in that conference, but he certainly has making a good case. So I think Audra Kell in a close game also. I'm thinking they can kick. But I'm thinking one score being 7 points or less.
It's going to be a lot of fun. The interesting thing about it is the more you think about it, that top part of that bracket might be it looks like it could be easily a Mecklenburg County.
It's a slug, yeah. And there's a lot of, you got Audra Kell here, Myers Park here, could very well be rematching themselves in this week. Then you got potentially Mallard Creek and either Huff or South Mecklenburg. So you got it there. I think you could end up seeing at least out to the regional finals, Mecklenburg County teams. And then you hop down here.
Yeah, that's the next one. It's in Marvin Ridge. This is going to be a fun game. This is another matchup or rematch between conference foes, county foes. Going with Weddington. I'm going to say Weddington 2-3 touchdowns, but anything can happen on this Friday night. But I'm taking Weddington to win this game.
No, I think you're saying I'm taking Weddington as well, and I can see a margin of 2 scores as well. 2 tough weeks for Marvin Ridge, starting out with Catholic and then, picking up Weddington this week. But Marvin Ridge is a good team. I think there's some potential there, but I think the stars have got to line a little bit right for them.
Next one, Lake Norman versus Cuthbertson. That's going to be a fun game to watch there if you're a Lake Norman fan. I think Lake Norman will win by 2-3 scores. I think Lake Norman is probably fallen kind of gone under the radar a little bit this season. I'm taking Lake Norman.
So I got to see Cuthbertson play South Mecklenburg early in the season. And gosh, they looked impressive. Now, South won the ball game, but they have impressive players. 2 to 3 scores, huh?
Yeah.
I go with Lake Norman, but you're Jack Nicholson, John Till.
Jack Nicholson.
I think it's going to be more like a score to 2.
Gotcha. Now this next game, Hickory Ridge hosting Julius Chambers. I've seen Chambers play this season. Got to see him play over at Cardinal Gibbons. Got a lot of great talent on that program. Probably the thing that a lot of people don't realize is just how well coached that team is. They have a staff that's just laser focused, and the players. I'm just hoping that they understand that Hickory Ridge is not going to be a team that are just going to, just can put out their uniform and say, "Hey, I'm Julius Chambers. We're going to win this game." I'm picking Chambers because I think their coaching staff knows how to get the players' focus on it. But I'm going to tell you right now, if Hickory Ridge wins this game, don't be surprised. But I'm going to say by 1 or 2 touchdowns.
So this is a rematch, right?
Right.
And extremely close game the last time they played. I'm gonna put it like this. So Chambers is they have some penalty issues. Hickory Ridge comes out and plays clean football, and they don't turn the ball over. Maybe they pick up. Maybe they win the turnover, game. Hickory Ridge wins this ball game, I think. It's going to be close. Either way, it's going to be close. But the more that I think about this game, I don't know why, but the more that I lean towards Hickory Ridge winning this ball game. That's an exceptionally well-coached staff, Hickory Ridge is.
Right.
And the kids stood toe-to-toe with them. It's going to be a lot's going to depend on what happens in that first quarter. And if Chambers, comes out and smothers, runs around them a few times, and they get up by 2 scores in the first quarter, it will not be close. But I don't see that happening. The kids just keep their composure and play the ball game. They can win this ball game. So it's going to be a tough 1-score game, I think. And you're not insane with your call, because that's the logical pick, is to pick Chambers. They are on paper, the team that should win this ball game.
Now this next game, Porter Ridge, they're going to be going up to Greensboro to play Grimsley, and we all know they won a state championship last year. Yeah. Porter Ridge last week had a mild upset against Reagan, 2071. I can't even remember who I picked on that. I think I might have picked Reagan in that game. I don't think Porter Ridge has enough to take down Grimsley. I'd say Grimsley 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Porter Ridge is another one of those teams that plays good disciplined football and good technique football. Always in position kind of deal. And that's hard to beat. So I think Grimsley should be the favored team. But my pick is Grimsley by certainly no more than 2. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Porter Ridge win the game. But yeah, you're sane, I think, on that one.
Okay.
Some really interesting ball games this week.
Oh, I agree. The 4As, I think in my area, Hillside, Millbrook, or in 4As is the game to go. And also in my area, 3As is Eastern Alamance and Havelock. Those are the two games that want to encourage everybody to go to. There's good games all over the state. The second round gets better. I will say though that the 1As are still not that competitive on the second round. You're only going to have maybe a handful of good matches in 1As on the second round. You're not going to see really some good matchups usually until about the fourth round, or this format to the fourth round. But 2A, 3A, 4A, it's just going to be so many good games to go to.
I agree. Here in the area, there's I think going to be a good ball game at Waddell High School between West Charlotte and Kings Mountain. Anybody in this area looking for a game? I believe that Audra, Kell, East Forsyth is going to be a good ball game, but that's not going to be. Myers Park. That game could be a good ball. I'm just thinking about games. It can be, a one score type game. I thought a lot, and I don't know why. Oh, yes, I do know why. I was supposed to say something last night about the West Rowan Crest game, so that's why that game's been on my head and that mind. And I actually got to thinking back about the West Rowan team back in the 2000s during the Parks era. You remember him, KP?
Yeah.
That game should not be a close game.
Right.
That should be Crest's game to lose. Okay.
So, Dale, I don't have much more to say here. I'm actually I don't know what it is. I think it's the change in the timing. Is instead of being 8:30, it's really not. My body's saying it's 9:30. I'm going around here now. I'm just like, gosh, I want to go catch me some Z's, or something.
Well, you go do that. Nobody has posted a comment since Scott's comment on the thoughts on Audra, Kell, and East Forsyth, which we did address that. I don't know when he asked that.
Probably at the very beginning.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah. So I'm sure he didn't stick around this long to hear anything, although there are a number of people on right now. I see. If anybody's got a question, throw it up. Oh yeah. So.
Yeah, please do. We need to. Yeah, I'd be glad to answer. Oh, see, Tom Dula. Thanks, guys. Great running down. Appreciate it, Tom.
Yeah, Jim wasn't too insane. He was insane a few times, mainly Jack Nicholson insane. But
yeah, you want a little bit crazy. Now, if I took someone like Tarboro, if I said to get the crap beaten out of them by 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Oh, well, that would have just been grounds for you to be committed.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you the Eastern Randolph versus Tarboro. If that ever comes down, that's going to be a great state championship game. That's what I'm picking right now.
So we got a question here on our thoughts on West Charlotte versus Kings Mountain. He didn't catch that part. So I think this is West Charlotte's game to lose. I was going into the playoffs. I thought that Kings Mountain might make a very deep run. Was a little set back by the near loss to Franklin. We're talking about here 2 different caliber and types of teams. I don't know what was up with Kings Mountain last week. I didn't expect that. And I kind of expected what they did to Stuart Kramer. Maybe I thought Stuart Kramer might give them a little more of a ball game than what they gave them. West Charlotte is to say West Charlotte is battle tested, and then to discard the fact that Kings Mountain plays some great Cleveland County teams, which quite honestly, I think the Cleveland County is got to be overall maybe the best county in the state for football, because you got quality football and you've got quality environments. You got to have the two. Charlotte's got, in Mecklenburg County's certainly got overall more quality teams, but there's no environments to match Cleveland, and that kind of environment's going to come to Waddell High School. That's where they'll be playing the ball game at. So
it's going to be a fun game.
For Kings Mountain to win that ball game, they're going to have to come focused. They're going to have to be able to be prepared to attack a two-headed monster, because West Charlotte can run and West Charlotte can throw. And I tell you what, some of the licks that they threw last week, oh my gosh, what a hitting team they've turned into being. So I don't think it's going to be a wide margin game. I think it's going to be a tight ball game either way. And I don't know what more to say. Other than I am favoring West Charlotte in this ball game. And 2 weeks ago, right when the brackets were released, I thought these two teams would play, and I thought this would be West Charlotte's out. It would be a game that would be hard for them to win. After last week, that changes a lot. So I think it's a great ball game to go. Hopefully you're going to go. That Bush Todd, is that? Yeah, Bush Todd. So hopefully you'll go to the game. I'm assuming you're a Kings Mountain person. I don't know.
I'm picking West Charlotte. Kings Mountain. If you're hearing that, prove me wrong. That's what I always want people to do. If you don't like what I say, prove us wrong here. And,
so we can say whatever we want, but at the end of the day, Friday night, it gets set on the field, and it's really going to come down to one of the elements will be who wants it more. There's a lot of want in those West Charlotte kids based on where that program has been. They've got a maturing staff. That's, Kings Mountain's going to overall has got a more mature coaching staff. Not only have they got the element of environment that'll travel with them and tradition and, all that kind of stuff. West Charlotte has huge tradition, but that tradition has been lost. And that's part of what Reiner's trying to do is bring that tradition, some of that tradition back, but it's not in the kids' heads yet, what West Charlotte used to be. And the coaching staff is young. So there's a huge differential in the coaching staff, the two coaching staffs, which gives some advantages to Kings Mountain, but there's a lot of those intangibles that go along for West Charlotte, and they're hugely athletic, very fast, and they got some hard-hitting boys. Their quarterback is, when he's on, he's on. He can throw the ball, which is really an odd thing to see Sam Greiner throwing the ball and not trying to run the ball all over the place.
One thing I'd mentioned about this game, if I was Kings Mountain, I'd really want to win the special teams battle. And I think special teams are going to come into play. And I'm not just talking about kicking and punting and stuff like that. I'm talking about defending the kickoff returns, punt
Yeah.
returns. I think that's going to be a really big issue. I think Mountain might have a little bit of an advantage on that, to be honest with you. And maybe not when you're thinking about kicking and punting per se, but Kings Mountain, I'm going to say, is probably a deeper team than West Charlotte's. I think depth
Yeah.
will make a difference in that special teams game more than it will offense. Defense depth is important, but having those extra fresh bodies that can play in special teams can make a big difference.
Yeah, there's no doubt that I say no doubt. I haven't seen Kings Mountain in person this year, but my expectation is that they have more depth. That's not something that West Charlotte is blessed with. Is a lot of bodies to go through. So fresh legs, you can have those situations where one team scores and then gives up a score on the kickoff return. So I see terrible calls and mistakes. So, most likely my view of things is that most times the calls are correct. And as a fan, we kind of take a bias to that. But and our injuries have hurt us too. Yeah. So, if you're down in numbers and starters due to injury, that's not a good situation. West Charlotte's in the same kind of boat, I'm sure. We're deep into the season. So lots of teams are facing injuries right now and having to bring up players and get other players to step up. You can't make mistakes. And I'm going to say now that, West Charlotte's, I'm going to say two things. When Jim was talking about special teams, Kings Mountain better take their points when they can get them. So that means if your kicker can kick a 40-yard field goal, then you need to kick it. You need to go for 3. Get your 3 points whenever you can. Get your points. Don't do any of these odd, we're going to go for it because we're down in the red zone. Get your points. Don't go for a 4th and 3. Kick a field goal. That'll be huge. You need to take those points when you can get them. I don't think that part of the game is as good of an element for West Charlotte, Jim. So
that's kind of where I'm looking at is if you can win that special teams battle, and that special teams to me is just as important as offense and defense. To be honest with you, how I'd rank it: defense, special teams, and then offense. The defense to me is just so invaluable. You're not going to win a state championship unless you have good defense. I've yet to see a state championship of any classification where they didn't have a good defense. Special teams.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Special teams. I've seen some teams with some bad special teams win state championships, but most of them dominate in the special teams category. And offense needs it's interchangeable.
Yeah. So the Tom Knotts era at Independence, they couldn't kick. they weren't blessed with a kicker, but they still played great special teams on coverage.
Right.
But they were not blessed with a kicker. Tommy's one thing, to be a recruiter, he never recruited a kicker because they went through that whole era of if you had to look to get a 43-yard field goal, forget it. It wasn't going to happen. and your kickoffs are not going to be booming into the end zone and out the end zone. West Charlotte punted the ball well, and they kick off well. I wouldn't look for them to kick a 40-yard field goal. They cover fairly well. I think their special teams play is okay. And they do have some big boys. So West have a big O-line? They've got some pretty big boys on that offensive line, yes. They got a couple of monsters on that offensive line. Nobody take offense to using the word monster. That was in a good context.
Monster is, if you say someone's a beast, that is a compliment.
That's right.
A monster is a compliment.
So I think that they're not an overly large, team as far as physical, but they are very physical. So that really shocked me Friday night. Some of the licks that they laid were some of the hardest hits I've seen this year. They have some big boys, and they've got a very good defensive line. Our dealership line is a little smaller this year, so I don't know. I think it's certainly Kings Mountain's got an opportunity, but they're really going to have to play solid football. No turnovers,
Exactly.
try to win the turnover battle. All the things that you're normally going to say are keys to the game. But most importantly, they're going to have to be able to cover both the run and the pass. If West Charlotte gets to running the ball, and West Charlotte can run, and they go to throw 8 in the box, West Charlotte can throw the ball. And they showed that they've showed that every time I've seen them. First play of the year that I saw them when they played Harding, it was about an 80-yard touchdown pass that got called back on a bogus, what I thought was a bogus call, but it's just been that way all season for them. So and that way meaning that they can throw the ball. This is just not what you expect out of a Sam Griner team. So
Right.
he likes to run, especially this time of year. The game is being played on a grass field because they're playing at Waddell, and Waddell is a grass field. It's a nice stadium, but if we have rains on Friday, that might, that can put a team, that can obviously it puts both teams at a disadvantage. But West Charlotte is kind of an explosive team on offense, and that puts a defense at a disadvantage because the offensive guy knows where he's going.
Yeah, he reacts.
The defensive guy's got to react, which means he may have to plant a foot to make a cut or a turn, and the offensive guy can plan his plant and cut, sort of. The defensive guy cannot. And, that defensive guy goes to swing his hips around. If the field's not right, he may spin around on the field. So that could be an interesting element in this game is what does the weather bring Friday?
Right.
So good game. I hope
Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
I hope this viewers come into the game because you'll get a good football game. I don't think there's any doubt to a fan it's going to be a good game. It's not going to be a good game to one of the two sides fans, but a fan of football will, I think, certainly enjoy this game.
Right. I think it's raining Thursday and Friday. I know it's supposed to rain. Here it's going to be Thursday night through about noon on day. I live in the Triangle area. I don't know when the rain's going to stop in your area.
I don't know. I haven't looked, but if it's going to stop in your area, then I haven't even looked to see the way this pattern's moving, but that means it's probably going to be rolling out of here in the morning time, sometime early, morning, maybe 6-ish or so. I don't know how much rain's supposed to be coming, but if it rains hard Thursday, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a wet field, one of those. It won't be a slip and slide. It won't be a Concord event.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it being like Concord Stadium is or used to be. I don't know what it's like today, but 10, 15 years ago, boy, heavy rain and you were skating out there.
It's just like you have to be better having a rowboat and some floaties on your arms.
Yeah, and if it's not the standing water, it's going to be some standing mud. There'll be mud everywhere. So, okay.
Looks like it's. I was looking at the 7-day forecast in WSOC. Looks like it's Thursday 70% chance of rain, which means it's going to rain. Friday it's like 30% chance. I think it's mostly in the morning. So showers expected on Veterans Day, which is that. So it looks like hopefully you won't be sitting in the rain. Todd mentioned, what's your thoughts on Dudley this year? I love Dudley. I tell you what, if you ever get a chance to go to the Tarp, dude, got the best seafood. They cook the perch right on the sidelines. Oh, it's just intoxicating. And they also got the best band. They got the best cheerleaders. Got some of the best coaches, best football. But golly, they got the best food.
Yeah, Dudley's one of the teams to beat, without question. That's one of your short list teams to be playing on the final game of the season, without question.
Yeah, I probably will go up to that game at Dudley on the.
Yeah, the question is do they do, West Charlotte and Harding are also two places that you can get great fish and fish sandwiches, but since COVID, that's changed. So I don't know if you'd be able to get those, Jim. I don't know what they're doing up here at Dudley. And yeah, as a fan that had to go against Dudley, they are scary. Yeah. I mean, they're going to be favored in every game, I think, on this side of the bracket. And the winner of this game is going to get them. So
if you're at if Kings Mountain wins, come to the game. I'll see you, and we'll eat some seafood together. Oh. Well, Dill, I think I'm gonna call it an evening. I'm yawning too much here.
No problem. It's time to do that.
Old man here.
This looks like this setup worked. I think I might upgrade to the pro version.
Okay. Oh, we got another call or another message here. If we win, we're supposed to get a few of our injured players back. That's a big deal right there.
Yeah. Play so that the other players can play. That's the tough thing about, a long football season is that you get those injuries as you roll into playoffs, and some injuries can recover in a couple of weeks. Some take longer. So
yeah, exactly.
You want to get it. Yeah, you hopefully can start getting players back during the playoffs, and if you can keep rolling, that just makes you obviously a lot tougher opponent.
Injuries are interesting. Sometimes injuries during the season can make you stronger at the end of the season because you get people with more experience that they would not have gotten it before. Gives you more
That's right.
depth, especially on defense.
It creates more depth. It gives other kids an opportunity to step up and play, and who knows, they may be better than the player that was in front of them. And the guy that comes back from injury might be a number 2 now. Exactly. So it's a double-edged sword kind of deal. It can hurt you, but it can also help you.
I totally agree with you, Dale. It's with injuries, you just got to. They're part of the game, unfortunately. I've been to seen programs that have lost so many players that actually had to forego the rest of the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that where a team had they had like 26 varsity players. They lose 8 players. They're down to 18. The coach says, "I can't coach that anymore."
That reminds me of that Waddell team that had that number, played the season with that many players.
Yeah, it's just.
I don't know if you remember that.
That was like 2010 or something.
Yeah, it was right near the end of the school. So sometime in that time frame, 08 to
because they had a pretty good football program, and then it just kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Well, it started out very good, and Benny McMurray did a great job and ramped them up. I think second year they went they go to the regional finals. Is that right?
That sounds right.
Made a third or fourth round run. He did a very good job, but we could do a whole night of talking of. I got to know that man very well. Bought him many lunches and dinners as I was trying to understand who he was and what it was like to coach over at Waddell. And he was in a very tough situation over there.
Tell you what we're going to do next week, Dale, if you're up for it. Let's do a confession time. What do you think?
Well, I've got some things I want to confess on. So, yeah, I've got some things that have been bothering me. So,
all right. I'll act like the Spanish priest, and you come tell me what's wrong. And then you can play Spanish priest. But
this ain't going to be the Spanish Inquisition, is it?
No. I'll say throw 4 Hail Marys during the Friday night.
You familiar with the Monty Python's Spanish Inquisition skits?
I don't know if I am or not, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're not tired, go to YouTube, type Monty Python Spanish Inquisition, and
was it part of the Holy Grail or Life of Brian or
no? So, well, I'll say this and then we'll go. So Monty Python was a group of comedic actor writers that got together, and the John Cleese, Eric Idle, Michael Palin, Terry Gilliam, Graham Chapman. The BBC let them basically produce their own show. And so you had what was called Monty Python's Flying Circus, which was just a bunch of skits that were random to each other, but in ways got tied together and through art, comedic art, etc. Just a just absolutely hilarious. So the Flying Circus is where they did the Spanish Inquisition and a number of other the parrot sketch, and there's just so many things you'll roll laughing. The Holy Grail is a movie that they made, that was funded by Led Zeppelin. Actually, they had that was one of their movies. That was their first movie. They didn't have enough movie money to buy horses in the movie, and so they pretended they had their steed to ride with them or go with them, and they took coconuts, 2 empty halves of coconuts, and banged them together to make a clapping sound like a horse. That's how much money. I mean, literally, and it became they had to do that because they didn't have the money, but it was absolutely hilarious. And then they did another movie called The Life of Brian, which initially was going to have a hard time to get released here in the U.S., especially in the Bible Belt. It is an absolutely hilarious movie.
Well, the meaning of life is, to me, pretty pushing the Bible Belt a little bit.
Yeah, not as much as an individual that people confuse for Jesus.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah.
Yeah. So the meaning of life that's a fantastically funny movie. Terry Gilliam wrote Time Bandits, if you've ever seen that. That did not have the Monty Python people in it, but they were primarily writers who also acted, and their stuff is just it's hilarious. So one of the things I've been doing, Jim, is I have a couple of hobbies right now. One of them is I like to watch debunking of flat earthers. And another one that I've come across, I don't know how it came up, is watching reaction videos to people the first time they've ever seen the Holy Grail. And it's funny to watch people who have never seen it that are in today's, here we are. The Holy Grail was released in 76 time frame, 76, 77. And to watch people respond to that and see that they still find it. And some of the people that do these response videos are people who are studying film and, movie making, and, they want to be directors or producers or other things. So they understand a lot of what they see, the subtle stuff of how, they draw a laugh. It's kind of funny because one of the people made the mention, said he laughed the entire movie. He couldn't say it was the funniest. That's kind of hard to believe. Said he couldn't find it to be the funniest movie he'd ever seen, and wouldn't rank it as one of the best comedies, but he laughed the entire movie. He's like every 15 to 20 seconds, there's a new line that they're doing, and you laugh. It's not a chuckle laugh, it's a laugh. So anyway.
It's an intelligent comedy, and there's a big difference between intelligent comedy and a lot of the crap we see today.
It's kind of intelligent. It's highly random stuff, but you got to watch. Have you seen the Holy Grail?
Oh, I've seen Holy Grail. I've seen Meaning of Life, and I've not seen all of The Life of Brian. I've seen parts and pieces of it, but
Life of Brian is I like The Life of Brian the most. I think it's the funniest. Although my favorite, the movie that I've seen the most, is The Holy Grail. I've seen it over 200 times. I went in 78 and 79 to the midnight movies every week, Friday and Saturday night, and watched it. And only a few times did I go watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So you had these long lines of people going to watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. You had a very short line of people going to watch the Holy Grail. But the Holy Grail and Rocky Horror Picture Show played at the midnight movies here for, over a year together. Holy Grail came out before the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
So, and it played for 2 years in the at the midnight movies. So,
wow.
And then I've got the DVD, and I had I had the VHS, and then I got the DVD, and I've watched the movie so many times. I got the script. I know it by heart, that kind of deal.
Gotcha. Oh,
Okay.
well, Dale, thank you so much. That's everybody. I'm glad
Yep.
to hope everybody enjoyed this. I enjoyed it.
It was a lot of yeah. It was. I think I like that sane insane. We'll have to do that one again too.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
everybody, this is Jim West and Dale Ross, and thank you so much for listening to the Jim and Dale Talk Show. Take care.